I don't think you're going to be successful with one campaign, whether that's a winning campaign structure, whether that's a winning audience or a winning piece of creative. I think we're really moving into a space where there is really no such thing as a winner. There is just what is working now. And it's about keeping an eye on that and always sort of trying to keep an eye on what could be working best for you in the future. What are your goals? What are you actually trying to achieve? And what are you currently getting? Hi, and welcome to the Bright Minds of E-commerce podcast. I'm Dana, founder of Bright Red Marketing, and I created this podcast because I wanted to bring you the best advice from Australian experts in e-commerce and e-commerce store owners. If you're wanting relatable stories and actionable advice, as well as the latest Facebook advertising strategies, you're in the right place. So let's get into today's episode. Hi, and welcome to the Bright Minds of E-commerce podcast. Today we're going to talk about account structures. Now, I know that's not the sexiest of topics, but this is one of those episodes that if you are running Meta ads and you are running the wrong structure, or maybe not the most ideal structure, it can be costing you thousands in lost opportunities. And it's one of those ones that's really important to get set up properly. So there's kind of two types of people when it comes to account structures. One is they've said it once and they've never ever touched it ever again. And the other group of people who see a LinkedIn post, see a viral Instagram reel and change their structure every other day. So it's one of those things that you really need to have a clear strategy in place. You need to know what it is that you are trying to achieve, what it is that you are trying to do with that account structure and that setup, and then use that information to make changes and adjustments as necessary. At the end of the day, what we want is we want a Meta account structure that is built for your goals. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is Meta is really good at giving you what it thinks you want. That's not always what you actually want. To give an example, we had a client who was spending a lot of money on their Meta ads. There was a lot of sales coming through. What they weren't doing was growing. So they were with another agency. They came to us and were like, hey, what's going on? Can you have a look? And we had a look and we used the breakdown tool. We actually have a podcast episode on that if you want to go back and listen to that one. And what it essentially was that Meta had learned that they could get them a better ROAS and a better cost per purchase if they went after their existing customers. This business had quite an established customer base. They had quite an established business. They've been around for ages. What they weren't getting was new customers. Now, they had a pretty standard Advantage Plus Meta setup, and it was spending a huge portion of their budget on existing customers and engaged people. So essentially people who already know the brand, which is why their business wasn't growing. So it's really, really important that you are keeping an eye on what Facebook is doing, because it can change too. So for instance, we've obviously taken over that client, we manage their account, everything's great. We keep a pretty close eye on it because there will be weeks, periods, months where it starts to swing back in different ways. Now we've sort of done an interesting structure with them so that we can kind of keep back a little bit of control where we need it. But it's one of those things you got to keep an eye on, because so often Meta will go, I'm going to do this anyway. So it is really, really important. So we want to make sure that I'm going to take that back. So at the end of the day, Meta wasn't actually the problem as such in that situation. It was just that the data that they were using and Meta was relying off wasn't actually the goal of the business. So at the end of the day, we really want to make sure that that goal is what Meta is working towards. So it's the reason why we recommend using a purchase objective versus a traffic objective. Meta is sort of really good at giving you what you ask for. So Meta will kind of do its best without any context. You are the one that has to provide the context. And unfortunately, they are taking the context away from us. So that's why sometimes just having a really simple Advantage Plus structure isn't always the best thing if it's not giving you what you need. So that's where that sort of breakdown tool is really helpful to work out exactly what's going on in your business, so that you can fix it. So I will say, in terms of account structures, Advantage Plus is a really good system. It has its place. Don't be afraid to take back that control. There are a lot of people at the moment talking about how you've got to use Advantage Plus and don't use this and this is dead. There is definitely a time and a place for taking back that control and saying to Meta, no, thank you. I would like you to spend most of my budget here, a little bit of my budget here, and taking back some of those things. I mean, we still are seeing success with audience testing and location testing and playing with different demographics, as much as Facebook makes those things seem like a really bad idea because they're like, are you sure you want to limit your audience? Sometimes, yes, you do, because what Meta is doing with your budget isn't necessarily what you would like Meta to be doing with your budget. And at the end of the day, it's your budget. I mean, this is the thing, right? You've got your account structure. It's going to be there. As much as I want to sit here and say you shouldn't be changing your account structure too much, I also want to say don't be afraid to test and change that account structure if you don't think it's working for you. We will have clients that we have one structure for a good couple of months, and then we start to go, I don't know that this is as effective as it probably could be. Let's just start doing some testing. I think there used to be this sort of idea with Facebook ads that there's going to be a winner, whether that's a winning campaign structure, whether that's a winning audience or a winning piece of creative. I think we're really moving into a space where there is really no such thing as a winner. There is just what is working now. And it's about keeping an eye on that and always sort of trying to keep an eye on what could be working best for you in the future. So the ones that we see the best success for in the clients and accounts we see the best success in are the ones that are really solid in their structure and their goals, but they're not afraid to test things. We don't want to be in a situation where we're so solid and we go, this is our structure and we never want to change anything. But we also don't want to be flip-flopping every other second, because there's always someone with a great idea and a new twist on things. And I will say it is the advantage of working with an agency is that we can be sort of testing and tweaking across a couple of different accounts to find out what's working a lot faster than, for instance, you in your own account, you only have the data you have access to. So we want to make sure that there is some consistency. Definitely not saying we want to be changing things all the time, but we do want to be in a situation where we are not afraid to make changes, make tweaks in the interest of testing. Because if you've ever heard me speak, ever, you will know what a big fan of testing we are. Now, in terms of your account structure as a whole, I mean, some general rules. We want to make sure we keep it clean. We want to have good naming conventions. It is better with the fewer campaigns you have, but don't be afraid of having an extra campaign if you need it. I definitely think I don't think you're going to be successful with one campaign. I do think most businesses spending decent money on Meta will need to have at least a couple, but you certainly don't need 50 campaigns. You certainly don't need 20 campaigns, unless you're spending mega dollars. So what having that sort of clean structure gives you is it just makes it tidy. You can actually see what's working. I will say, if you're reading this or listening to this and you go, oh my God, I have 60 campaigns, I need to clean it up, please don't go and delete them. We don't like deleting things in Facebook. Once you delete things, you can never get them back, and that data is gone forever. So if you do have quite an untidy campaign structure, little tidbit for you, what you can do is actually click the little tick boxes down the left-hand side, and then in the filter section, you can actually filter by the ones that are checked. So you can give yourself the illusion of a clean campaign system and structure, so you're not getting overwhelmed without deleting your data. So just save that little tip for later, because that is very helpful. So look, if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, well, what structure do I want? What is going to work best for me? My first question for you is, what are your goals? What are you actually trying to achieve? And what are you currently getting? So for instance, if you are really actively growing the business and you're really after new client acquisition, what you need to do is go and check your new customer ads. How much of your budget is going towards those people? How effective is it? How is that looking for you, and how is that working? Is it converting the way you need it to do? If you're more established and what you're trying to do is go through more of a solidification process where you're really trying to get more out of your existing customers, how much money is being spent on your engaged and existing? How much of that sort of storytelling and relationship building are you doing for those people? Are those ads being shown to the right people? Because at the end of the day, depending on either of those goals, and most businesses will fall into either of those categories, you can then go into Facebook and go, okay, well, how much of my budget is actually being spent on these people? Because what I don't want to do is be in a position where your budget is being spent and it's not being spent on the right thing. It's being spent too much on new customers, or it's being spent too much on your existing, or maybe even not that simple. The wrong creative is being shown to the wrong people. So you might have all this really wonderful community building content and relationship building content, but it's being shown to your new audience, not the people you're wanting it to be seen to. So yeah, it's really, really important that you kind of have those breakdowns, but you need to know what your goals are first. So really, really clearly identify what your goals are, what it is that you are wanting, have a look at what Facebook's actually delivering, and then make those adjustments based on that. Because I can't sit here and tell you in a 10-15 minute podcast episode and say, this is the exact structure that you need to be running. What I can sit here and tell you in this podcast episode is find out what your goals are, make sure Meta's delivering. If Meta's not delivering, work out the best way to do that. So maybe it's creating custom Advantage Plus that helps to break things apart. Maybe it's having some campaigns that have some exclusions. Maybe it's going back to doing some more manual targeting and sort of trying to take back some of those reins. So I really, really recommend that you don't run your Facebook ad account or your Meta Ads account and just go, it's done, I have the great structure, the end. It's something that probably even monthly you need to be looking at and going into those sort of goals, targets, and those sorts of things and going, am I doing what I need to? Is it hitting the right mark? And if all of this is going, I don't understand, where do I start? This is what our audits are for. So if you head to our website, there is a free audit. There's one on our Instagram. Is the link in our podcast? I don't know. You'll have to tell me. I will check. But essentially, if you are listening to this, you're like, I just want a second set of eyeballs to make sure that my account structure is set up properly, I'm more than happy to go through it with you. It's one of my favorite things to do. So go have a look at your account structure, make sure that your goal's clear and that Meta is delivering for you. And if not, don't be afraid to change up your account structure. Thank you for listening to the Bright Minds of E-commerce podcast. As always, you can find the show notes on our website at brightredmarketing.com.au. Just look for the podcast page. Thanks for listening.